All right. What's going on, everybody? We're back again here Thursday, July 6th, here on the Ono Live Coffee and Cigars live stream. I'm Jay, your host, and as always, we're here every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time to talk coffee and cigars. And so we're back again. How's everyone doing tonight? Hope you're all doing well. Right now, here in Maryland, or I guess across the world, we are having a bit of a heat wave. Whoops. Where's my heat wave? There it is. A heat wave. The hottest days ever recorded on Earth this week. Holy crap, really. Evidently, it's the average temperature across the planet is 63 degrees. We're here 16.88 Celsius. That's just crazy. What's going on, Mom? How are you, man? Good to see you. Welcome back to the show. Good to see you every week. And so we are burning up here. Burning up. Your average daily temperature, 62.9 degrees. Highest ever recorded on current local data sets dating back to at least 1979, and maybe the highest daily temperature in around 125,000 years. Whoa, that's crazy. 125,000 years. Well, it's hot out there, and certainly does feel hot. Although, here in Baltimore, it's about 80 some degrees, which is, not terribly hot, but the humidity is hot enough to make it pretty uncomfortable. It's not as hot as it was in Asia for me this past month, where there we're talking, 37, so like 95 degrees, really, really kind of pushing 100 degrees with high humidity too. But, trying to battle that, here in the studio when we're running the AC to keep it cool, but we also have to run the fan to take out the smoke. It's a losing battle. And I'm already starting to feel the heat kind of creeping in around me. So, I don't know. It's crazy. What's been happening to you this week? Anything happen? Anything good? Anything interesting? If it looks a little bit different here, I'm using a little bit of a different setup this week. So today I picked up this new lens. It's a 16 millimeter Sigma f1.4 that I have mounted to a Sony a6000 camera, which I don't know, and based on what I've been seeing just on this screen here today, I think it looks fairly good. This particular lens is something that I got it used at the local camera store, and part of me was a little bit reluctant to get it, even though that I know that it's very well regarded. f1.4, 16 millimeter lens, really nice quality glass, really well designed, and a lot of YouTubers love this lens. You see all these YouTubers talking about their gear, and they're like, "Oh, we have this 16 millimeter Sigma lens," and I always kind of wondered, like, should I be getting this lens? I don't know. Does that make me too much of a YouTuber? I don't know, but so far so good. Really, what happened is because I have this other camera that I've been using, and I've been using an adapter to make it. Oh, it looks great! Excellent. Thank you. So glad to hear that. And I've been using this other camera that uses interchangeable lens, Sony camera, and I've been using an adapter to mount Canon lenses onto it. But honestly, it's just been a cantankerous event. And so I released a video on the main channel yesterday it's called the Star Spangled Spectacular. Really, it's just this video that I shot of the local fireworks that were happening. And I have both regular footage from a camera, and then I have drone footage that it's not overflying but it's kind of at a distance, but it's nice angle. And I thought I set it to manual, the camera. So basically it's a Canon lens with a adapter to go to the Sony. And Sony has really amazing autofocus, but the way that it translates through this adapter isn't very good. Plus I turned it off, and it came out soft. So I was really kind of irritated with that. I was like, maybe this whole experiment of trying to use older EF lenses on an E-mount camera, because there's a whole technical reason behind it. But I'm just like, oh, maybe I should just give up on that and just go to something like this, native lenses for the camera. And so that's kind of what I'm trying right now. But anyway, so that's that. But what are we doing today for coffee? We are doing some, yeah, the heat is definitely seeping in. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of coffee. Today's coffee is kind of a redux. We're going to be looking back at our Camel Step cold brew in a can from Sudbury. This is actually the same batch of canned cold brew that I picked up in December. And I thought, let's go look back and see how it's going to do. It's a sparkling drink, right? It says here, let's say sparkling drink. So we're going to go back and see how it is. Not so much sparkly. And let's whoops. It didn't break the tab. Look at that. Okay, I got that open now. I'm gonna pour. If there, I don't remember if there was. It says sparkling drink, but there's no sparkling left. There is a nice, pretty note. Ooh, and there's a nice sweetness and fruitiness. This is definitely one of the better cold brews I've ever had when we first tried in December, and it's still very, very good. Oh, yeah, that's still nice. All right, so what else been going on? Anything interesting? What are you guys smoking? What are you drinking tonight? I'm presuming there's some good stuff going on. So tonight's cigar is something that I really kind of came about after last week's tasting. If you recall, last week we had the Meir from Meerapfel, and that ended up being the highest rated cigar on this show ever. And, I know a lot of people, I know you guys might be thinking, we're very hard with our numbers. We're very hard to get a really, like if you look on all these review sites, 92s, 93s, 94s, 90 is something that you just don't see with our rating scale. Like it's a really critical rating scale that we're using. And, over time, it's kind of become a source of pride for me. It's like, I think that our rating system is very strong. I think it does well and is quite accurate to the experience. And it actually gives I think it will give people value when they look at the criteria and see the scoring and what to expect, right? Like we're correlating scoring to the actual descriptive of what we're experiencing, right? So for example, like we're talking about, put this back there, our average is 6. If we talk average, good is 7, very good is 8, 9 is excellent. So like you've really got to start, your descriptors really have to be strong for the categories in order for you to really be giving high scores. And last week was the highest score ever with the Meerapfel, and that got 93.5, the highest score ever, really. And really it was just an immense experience. The second one to that would be the Tatuaje Loma del Cerdo that we did back in April, at the end of April, which got 89 points. Now, if we look back, and I'm going to go back and look here, I'll show you the scoring here. So we look here, 2022, our highest number was the Year of the Rabbit, which was 88.25. 88.25, and that was in November. And then here we had the Meerapfel and the Tatuaje, those are all in the first half of the year, more or less. So solid performing, but this is the very first of cigars that actually made the 90 plus scoring range, which I thought was very significant. And so this time I was like, let's go back and let's go start trying some, like I think we mentioned this in the show last week, but let's start looking back at some cigars that maybe I've been kind of glossing over, kind of ignoring. Things like this, like today's cigar is the 1964 anniversary Imperial natural wrapper from Padron. And that's something that, we've kind of ignored Padron because mainly it's one of those cigars that, it's a hallowed cigar brand. It's very well regarded. And, people just presume it's always going to be beautiful, right? It's just amazing. And, I've had amazing experiences with it. Like one of the very best Padrones I've ever smoked was a Padron 3000. And how that came to be about is that I was in Nicaragua one year, and I was going to from Nicaragua. I had to fly to Salvador, and if you've flown around there, like trying to find Cuban cigars or cigars in general is relatively difficult in Central America. Like you've got to go to certain places, and it's only going to like in Salvador. It's only going to be in the capital of San Salvador, like at the Sheraton, that there's actually a cigar shop. If you don't buy it there, you're just not going to have any. So since I was in Managua at the departure lounge in Managua Airport, there's a Padron booth. They have a little stand there selling Padrones, and I was like, well, let me grab a 5-pack of 3000 naturals, or maybe it was Maduros. So I just grabbed it, tossed my bag, flew to San Salvador, and then we actually ended up in Santa Ana, which is a couple hours away from the airport. And I busted out at some point. And my gosh, that 3000 in the 5-pack directly from Padron was one of the very best Padrones I've ever smoked. Like, it was brilliant, perfectly hydrated, perfect conditions, soft and supple, smooth, silky feeling wrapper. Like the hydration was just immaculate. It was just immaculate. And then on the other side of it, I've had things like the Damaso, which is the Connecticut shade wrapper that came out in 2017 or whenever it came up. And I thought that was one of the worst dog rockets I've smoked in ever. Like, it was just terrible. It was like I was at Liberty Cigar in San Diego, and I was so excited to try it because I was like, it just had come out, and I was like, all right. So I've had the Undercrowd shade, fantastic smoke. And I was like, all right, Padron's going to be great. Of course, Padron's got to be great. So went there at Liberty. It's like, I'll buy that, $17 or whatever it was. Just terrible, just disgusting. Like, I just hate, and I've never tried one since. Now, Tony has said that they've reformulated, but it was such a bad experience that it's not even worth trying again. It's like, for me, it's like I haven't spent the time to try it because, you know what? I don't want to be upset about it, right? I don't want to be disappointed. I just want, if I'm going to smoke Padron 5000, Padron 3000, these are great smokes at great prices. Now we're moving today in the 1964. The 1964 came out probably 1995 or something like that. And it's always been a crowd pleaser. But I thought, let's try it again. Let's put it on our rating scale and let's see how it is. And so what did I do? I went over to the Humidor, which is the cigar shop just a few hundred feet from the roastery here. I walked in, went into their Humidor, picked up this cigar, and paid for it. I was looking, if you look at the Padron, like in the box of the 1964 that I have, it's nice, but it also has a little bit of unevenness, right? Let me pull up the photo. I think I did take some photos. Like here, at this cigar shop, they kind of put it in the halves. And as you can see, it's fairly even, right? But it looks a little bit, honestly, it looks rough. The wrapper looks a bit on the rough side. But this is the one that I chose. The second one, not this one, but this one. I chose this one, right? Just because that looked the nicest of the group. I decided to go with the natural rather than Maduro, just because, you know what, let's just go with the natural and see the basic cigar without any of the finer tobacco aging from the Maduro. And this is what we come up with. This is the 1964 anniversary Imperial, as picked up from the actual cigar shop. So the wrapper, the color tone is relatively even from my viewpoint, but it does look a little bit it's not a smooth coloration, as you can see, like here, like right here, looks a little bit, veiny is probably the only way that I can describe it, but it just doesn't have a totally smooth color, right? It does have that a little bit like veininess, but without actually having strong veins, right? So let me do some preparation here. I'm sorry I don't have the camera, the overhead today. All right, so I've kind of broken up the cigar into thirds. Whoops. Now this cigar was $21.29, so $22.57 with tax. So a little bit on the pricey side. Again, it's one of those at 20 plus dollars. It's a cigar that if I was just smoking it by myself on my own, that would put some pause. I would have to have a really nice special occasion or feeling especially free with my money to do that. Like they had some revenges from Romacraft there that were $12.95, and I was like, $12.95. That's getting pricey now. You know, it's Romacraft's under $10. Great price point. Almost $13. $13 with tax. Man, that's. There's a light spiciness on the fragrance. It's very pleasant, inviting. And then let's look at the coloration. I'm going to say it's a little bit here on the side of the color. You know, fragrance, I'd say kind of medium in fragrance intensity. You know, there's a spiciness, but also kind of a not manure. I mean, God, what the descriptor that comes to mind is not manure. Manure has a certain characteristic to it. This has more of a characteristic of poo. I know that's not the most complimentary descriptive, but it's not off-putting, I should say. You know, it's not off-putting in that respect. Uh-oh. All right, let me get this cutter out here with a little bit of a. This one's going to prevent me from cutting too deep into the cap. There's our cut. Not bad looking. Oh, Sheeran. My goodness, you're here with us early tonight. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you. How is it that we get you at such an early hour? We are having a little bit of the Camel Step cold brew and tasting the 1964 Padron anniversary. You know, here's something that I always kind of was curious about with these cigars, right? They got these bands, right? The bands have these serial numbers. Like, what's the purpose of that? I've been to the factory and they're just kind of stacked up there. So I don't know if there's any kind of registration or any kind of meaning to them. Those are things I've always kind of wondered about. All right, let's light it up. I'm going to use some matches here. All right. So initial light, a little bit on the ashy tasting side. Yeah, there's a bit of ashiness on the tongue from the light. That's not so pleasant. Huh. I'm going to say that the fragrance cold draw was just good, just better than good, good plus. But this ashy start, hopefully the burn initially is a little bit on the uneven side, right? Hopefully that's just hopefully that's not a significant issue. It's a little bit burning hot. Could be that maybe it's drier in the humidor that it came from. There's some spice starting to develop. So how's everything going for you guys? How has your week been? Good this week? Bad this week? I'm interested to know. And what are you smoking? Let me know that too. I have two settings on the exhaust system here, low and high. It's set to low, but it's like the heat is still, there's still some coolness, but the heat is like, it's kind of getting this mixture. Like if I had it on high, it would be hot then. Brian says Twitter replacement Thread now has 3 billion users. I'm one of them. I just got it today. Jaron Handon, walking around, heard about it, so I downloaded it. Thread. I don't really know what to do with it. But it looks like there's a lot of people posting. Maybe this will be better. I don't know. But a lot of people that I follow, SG Nomad, which is a great bunch of guys here. These guys, they basically have this business where they ferry aircraft around the world. I don't know if you've seen them on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, but they're pilots that have this small business where they basically fly planes from point to point across the globe. And I was like, oh man, I wish that was my job. Yeah, a lot of people are like on it now. Oh, even Gazina's there. 3 billion users. That's amazing. Oh, 30 million. Well, still, that's quite a lot. So it's getting better. Like the initial light was very ashy and hot. There's some spice developing, but there's still a bit of ashy acridity somewhere underneath it all. I'm not terribly thrilled yet. Oh, gosh. It's kind of warm today. I'm hoping that this will, become more alive. So did any of you guys sign up for the thread? I don't know how I'm going to use it. Does this mean people will leave YouTube for Thread? I don't know. I know a lot of people are upset with Twitter because of Elon Musk. I mean, I don't really know what there's to be upset about, to be honest with you. Maybe you guys might be the ones upset. Let me know. I'm interested to know why I should be upset about Elon and Twitter. Mm-hmm. What do you think of this bokeh, right? This whole thing where you've got shallow depth of field, meaning that only a narrow portion of the image is in focus, whereas the background is all blurry. This is what's called bokeh. People like that kind of thing. What do you guys think about that? Does that help? Does that nicer than before? Steven says 64 Imperial Maduro, my favorite all-time smoke, but it's up to $18. Ooh, $18. That's a deal, man. Here it's $22. Yeah, like speaking of the $18 price point, I'm gonna tap this out because it's getting a bit, when you see this kind of curving, I'm like, it makes me nervous. And that just tapped out really easily. I don't know, I kind of feel like you want it to be a little bit more resistive to being tapped. But to your 18, oh man, see, that tapping did not help. Like whatever positivity had grown in the time that since I lit it, by tapping it out, that acridity returned again. I wonder if the Maduro is better than because of this. Because is the Maduro wrapper that much better? But anyway, back to your point, Stephen. Like, I have to agree with you. There was a time when I really was into the Drew Estate T52 Bellicoso. I thought it was a great smoke. Even at $12, all right, $12, $13. Okay, I'll pay that. But once it rose to 18, I was like, you know what? It's a really enjoyable cigar, but 18 makes it too much to buy on a regular basis. And I used to buy it by the box. Now I haven't bought them in years. It's been years since I bought them. Could it be that because I had this Meerapfel last week that I'm just spoiled and I don't recognize greatness when I'm smoking it? But that acridity is still right there on the tongue. But I did the other night. I was out at a friend's house, I was at Bud's house, and I brought a cigar along with me. 4th of July. Went over to Bud's and brought along this Palgamerian Bellicosa Maduro. Now, for many years, the Bellicosa Maduro from Palgamerian, for about 5 years, that was the only thing I smoked. I think that was pretty much the only cigar I smoked for 5 years, or at least was my number one go-to. And I smoked a lot of them. This particular one has a box date from 2008. And man, it was just gorgeous. It smoked beautifully. It tasted wonderful. Like really, I was just like, oh, this is it. This is the way. And actually, I could have smoked another cigar, but then I decided, you know what? That was good. That was great. I will not smoke anything the rest of the night. Yeah, there's an acridity on my palate from this cigar that is just detracting quite significantly from the experience. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know. It's very surprising. Surprising is the way to put it. I mean, I've had quite a few of these 64s over the years, and they've always been very enjoyable. And even like right here, it feels hot. It feels hot right there. Maybe I just need to, yeah, that's really hot. Like almost too hot to hold. Actually, that's almost too hot to touch. Maybe what I need to do is stop for a few minutes and not smoke it and let it chill. So I'm going to do that. So what's been going on? Let's see. What do other people have to say about this cigar? So this is a review. This, of course, I don't know how apropos these kind of reviews are because, like I'm going to show you this one. Because this one from Cigar Aficionado, of course, this is 2006. So we're talking now, this is, I don't know, 13 years ago, right? No. 2013. This is like 17 years ago. So this can't be applicable today. Can't be. They gave it a 92 back then. When you're starting out with your first category at 7.5, I don't think you're going to get to 92. 6 inches by 54 with an all Nicaraguan filler binder wrapper. So created in 1994 to commemorate the 30th anniversary of making cigars. Elegant, balanced flavor of the cigars comes from judicious amounts of well-aged Nicaraguan tobacco. Now, they do say that this cigar has tobaccos that are aged for 4 years. Most of the cigars are made in Nicaragua, but some are made in a smaller factory in Honduras. They are trunk pressed to give them a classic brick-like shape and have that trademark Padron flavor of cocoa, light chocolate, and long, rich finish. I mean, I think we can see that there might be some cocoa in that. Seems it's just my opinion, but I do think the Maduro is significantly better. You know what? I think I would have to agree with you. I think in most cases when I'm buying Padrones, I am buying the Maduro version rather than the natural. I think I've only bought like a 3000 natural when they were totally out of Maduros. And what I do like about those Padron 3000 series is that their price points are still really great, right? They're still really great price points and really great cigars for that, especially at that price point. And it's just, okay, now that acridity is mellowed out. So hopefully now we've gotten through this acridity and now we're going to get into like some smoothness and some complexity. Hopefully. Maybe I'll let it sit for a couple more moments. the chill. But I don't, this is kind of this. Well, let me pull that back out here. But this thing here, 2006 review, kind of reflects back on what I was saying earlier in the show. This one here, also from 2006. This is from Stogie Review, and what are they saying about it? Oh, he had a little bit of a cracking going on there. Does he give it a score? No, I guess he doesn't give it a score. What does he say at the end? After a little over an hour, Sam set this down for good. I think I may have gotten a bad stick, but even so, it's the best bad stick I've ever had. This pleasure of smoking. Even with the trouble I experienced, I still would not hesitate to smoke another one in the future because I can only think the next one would only get better. Yeah. I mean, I think that this company has proven that they have made really great cigars over and over again. So, one bad cigar may not necessarily be reflective of the experience overall. But this is what I was saying with this, that review, both reviews that we're looking at were from 2006. And that's pretty much what they had in the, if I Google, when I did my Google search, I'll show you the Google search, right? So here, lots of Imperial Maduros, but very few natural Imperials, right? And so it was here, this is a Scotch cigar. Oh, here's one from 2022. What I was going to say was that there's a lot of, because it's such a cigar that's been out for, since 1994, I think it's really, and has a great, has a great reputation. I don't think a lot of people review them because, they're already out there, and, what's there to really say about it? But let's see what these guys say about it. Now it's getting, that last puff was getting a little more cacao now. Let's see, overall, Natural has a very rich aroma of chocolate, pepper, cedar. These scents merely offer you an idea what the cigar will taste like. Does not disappoint because all the aromas are present in the taste. I enjoy how it lacks any pepper flavor and depends more on the earthy, leathery coffee. And I think that's one of the nice things about the Padron line is that when you compare it to other Nicaraguan cigars, a lot of Nicaraguan companies really rely heavily upon that black pepper. They like to give that black pepper flavor. Padrons, in my experience, have not really been big on black pepper, which is probably why I really liked a lot of them. It's just a lot more complex and usually a lot more nuanced and layered. So it doesn't actually provide full strength. Rather, it leans towards more medium and medium above medium, but not enough to make smoking difficult. He enjoyed smoking it, probably trying to live in the future. Fairly tasty and would smoke in the morning. Huh. That could be. Morning could be a good way to go. I mean, I'm interested to know what you guys think. How was your experience with these Padrons? I'm sure it's been very good. Now we're getting nice complexity, cacao, maybe a little hints of that woodiness, that cedary character. But now we're definitely getting more complex layering. I'm hoping that we'll progress with more of this rather than more of what we started out with. And oh man, we're not that far into the day, but we are already past the first we're already past the first. So let's see. Body, I would definitely agree that's a medium, more medium. Quality would be, I would say the body has been very good. But the flavor, I'm going to say it's just been good plus 775. So 775 for the flavor, 8, very good for the body. One thing is, it is a light drawing cigar, easy to smoke. I mean, I don't know what time we really started smoking, but maybe it's only been 20 minutes. I've already flown through the first third. That seems fast to me. It seems like it's fast, but it's also getting nicer flavor now. Now the flavor is really getting to be nice, good and enjoyable. Now I'm starting to feel like, oh, I like this flavor. I want to smoke it more. Maybe because part of that helped by putting it down for a few moments. Let that heat dissipate, that buildup of heat dissipate. Like if I hold it here, like it's just normal. It's normal kind of temperature, not very hot. Whereas a few moments ago, it was really hot. So that really could be, that could have really contributed to the acidic nature of the smoke at that point. So I don't know if you guys heard, but here in Baltimore, there was a local coffee shop called Common Ground. It just shut down abruptly on July 2nd. And, they, for the longest time, Common Ground's been in Hamden, the neighborhood where I operated for 13 years. They were there for 25 years, and they shut down. And so I had the chance actually to go down and see the space today. That's one of the curious things in I guess it's typical in business, like it was kind of like a gathering of operators, while hanging out there today, looking at the space, quite a number of other operators in the neighborhood stopped by as well to look at the space and see what the owner's going to do and whatnot. And if you're interested, it is for sale. I can't disclose the prices or anything, but if you're interested in buying, let me know. It could be a good opportunity. So how's your days been going on today? Anything good happen? Anything good happen this week? There's a little bit of heat now coming through. What's going on? There's a little, look at this weird little aberration. See that? What is that going on there? That little notch. And then I got a little bit of a bite on the tongue. I don't know if there's anything showing here, but I gotta say, yeah, the acridity is returning again. We had this moment, a brief moment of really nice flavor, and suddenly now we've got this bite, and acridity is returning. I mean, honestly, of all the Padrons we smoked in the past, that I personally have smoked in the past, and I'm sure all of you guys smoked in the past, this has got to be an aberration. Maybe I just picked the wrong cigar. Which, one of the things we always talk about in cigar world is that it's a handmade product. So there's always going to be potential for some kind of issue along the way, an aberration of some sort. And, we'll kind of like, whether you're an enthusiast or you're in the industry itself, there's always that talk about, oh, it happens sometimes. It's just kind of like one of those things, right? But honestly, when you're talking about a $22 cigar, that's really not what you want to hear if you spent this kind of money on it. You're like, well, maybe, sure, there may be a problem in a $5 cigar, $7 cigar. Okay, it's a cheap cigar, but this is not a cheap cigar. You would think that it'd be better. Like you'd expect better. I expect better. Actually, I expect this cigar. I expect this to be amazing. There's always also the thought that, oh, well, should try another one. But if this is your first time trying the cigar at $22, do you really want to put another $22 on the line for that when you could buy something else that will probably be as much better, more enjoyable than this particular one for a considerably amount less? You could spend $10 less and get something really great. So our next milestone, the second third, will end right about here, where the band starts. So hopefully we'll get a little bit better performance. That's getting quite warm because like the ice is just not even lasting in the in the drink. Today, the United States announced that they're going to start sending cluster munitions to Ukraine. Despite the concern, what it says, despite the concern, cluster munitions, dual-purpose improvised conventional munitions as part of a new military system package set to be announced on Friday. And this is controversial because more than 100 countries are parties to the Convention on Cluster Munitions, a 2010 agreement that bans the use and transfer of such weapons. The U.S., Russia, and Ukraine did not sign the agreement, so we don't have to worry about using it, but the U.S. has condemned other countries for using it, like Russia. So that should be quite an interesting. Another thing that I've been reading about lately is, a lot of is the whole China thing. Like we're really gearing up for war with China, and I think that's an interesting proposition. Like I'm just reading about how so the United States, our country, in the past year or two, has developed alliances or deepened alliances with, like, for example, Japan, where Japan's territory actually extends almost to Taiwan. Like there are a series of islands that stretch past the Japanese mainland all the way down to Taiwan, and there's a whole bunch of islands along the way. And they've been fortifying those islands with missile batteries, electronic warfare bases, even. And then, of course, the United States this past year has signed an agreement with the Philippines to develop more bases in that country, occupying bases, storing weapons, munitions, and missiles and stuff like that, and ports. And of course, we have a port in Singapore. So if you look at the map of Asia and you look at this network of things, there's actually a whole like string across, from the northern part of Japan all the way down to Taiwan, to the Philippines, across around to Singapore. And it's basically like we're putting a noose around China. And I am kind of concerned because, like, of course, they're talking about this being a deterrent. But if you put a noose around someone's neck and say, hey, we're not going to pull on it, I don't think that person's going to sit around like wondering and just say, okay, I'll just let you keep this here. At some point, they're going to have to like respond to this. And I think that's a bit of a issue that we should be concerned about. And Steve says, the thermometer in the patio in the shade right now is 111 degrees. Holy smokes, man. Gosh, so crazy, man. So crazy. 111 degrees. So I guess you're at the point here. So is this the point of Arizona where you can fry eggs on the sidewalk? I've actually never been to Phoenix, like to get around. I've been to the airport once. But I've always kind of been curious to see that in action. And we're glad you made it to the show early. That's really great. That's really great. This week's heat and how they split the week up at the shop. Oh, business is down. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Yeah. It's definitely when the holiday's on Tuesday, it is a strange, like when it starts to fall on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that does make for an odd week. I presume you guys were closed on the 4th, but open on the 3rd. My brother's shop was open on the 3rd. That's why I was curious. We're going through this pretty fast tonight. Okay, so we're starting to get to a point where it's mellowing out again. Like so far, we've started out with acridity, then a bit mellow, good complexity, nice flavor, and then back to acridity. Hopefully, we're at least going to get back to some kind of mellow smoothness now. So I mentioned to the guys earlier in the show, if you weren't with us yet, but for tonight's episode, I'm using a little bit of a different rig, a different camera, and a different lens. More importantly, the lens, because I'm trying out this new lens. It's a 16 millimeter wide angle f1.4 lens from Sigma, and it's a really nice quality lens. In the YouTube sphere of YouTube creators, this is a really popular lens for a lot of YouTube creators. They love to use this for vlogging and stuff like that, because they can get really close like this and talk and blah, 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 and they still have width, right? And it's got a good depth of field. And I'm just wondering, what do you guys, so if you're just joining me to talk about, what do you think about it? How's it look? Looks good, or looks the same, or doesn't really make a difference? Maybe it doesn't make a difference. Yeah, the heat this week has come back. It's not as hot as it was when I was in Asia, but it's pretty hot. Like even the air conditioning is having a hard time keeping up with it. Like earlier today when I was working in here, it's like air conditioning is not really keeping up. Last night at home, the air conditioner was just not keeping up with it, man. It's just hot. It was just hot. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I I like to sleep in the cold. Like I want it to be cold because I can always put more layers on, right? If I need to put on more shirts or more blankets or whatever, I can always pull those out. But you can only get so naked when it's hot, right? Like, and last night I was just like, man, can't. I like at 3:00 I was like, oh man, I can't sleep anymore. It's like I've had enough. And I was messing around with the controls of the AC. So about another hour and a half, or 4:30, I was like, okay, it's getting cool enough that I can go back to bed now. So I slept until like 8:30, 9:00. Rough. It's one of the things when I'm like traveling, it's like I want to get the AC in the hotel room like nice and cold. Like, I want to be like, I'm gonna nosedive that thing. Let it just be freezing in there. I remember one time I was in France. I was in Provence, staying at this auberge, right? Had this man. I had that AC cranked down. It was nice, chilly. I love it. Okay, we're getting closer. To the last third. Oh, here's some political news. Marjorie Taylor Greene was booted from something called the House Freedom Caucus. Let's see what that's all about. Freedom Caucus member. Oh, so this Marjorie Taylor Greene got into a fight with Lauren Boebert. I imagine the House Freedom Caucus is by that name, it's a Republican group. Oh yeah, Freedom Caucus board member Andy Harris. He's our representative here in this district that I live in, I think. Gosh, when your fellow Republicans are kicking you out, that says a lot about you. If they're no longer willing to put up with your tantrums. Oh, here's an interesting headline. Tourist who defaced the Colosseum said he wasn't aware it was ancient. Carved a love note into a wall. God. Of course, this is behind a firewall, so we can't really look at it. But man, how in the world? Scratching a love note in the Colosseum that he didn't understand the history of the Roman. Good Lord. Where is this guy from? Oh, he's Italian. Oh, wrote in Italian. Dimitrov. Where's he from? Does it say where he's from? God, how in the world do you do that? Like, I'm just going to carve something here. Like, I've not been to the Colosseum, but I can't imagine that you would go there and you'd think that you would that would be okay. Oh, Brian, it says here, BBC says that back to your thread thing, Twitter is threatening legal action over thread. Oh, good Lord. So here it says, Meta denied claims that an illegal letter that ex-Twitter staff helped. Say they did not get ex-Twitter staff, but that would make sense. You know, people leave Twitter. Why not hire them, bring them on, and make a new app for them from them? They know their business. Ryan, I presume that you're over at the Elks tonight. How is it out there tonight? At one point today, I walked outside, and for a brief moment, it felt kind of like it was cooling down. I was thinking maybe I'll do this. I'll set up so we can do it outside. Then right before, as we got closer, I was like, oh man, it's just too much, man. I can't do it. Brian said, Steven said, sharp and clear, looks good. Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, so we're starting to burn into the wrapper now. So I'm going to take the wrapper off. All right, so that means that we're also into reviewing the second. I mean, I got to say, we had that point where at the beginning of the second third, it got nice and smooth and got a little more complex. Had that cocoa coming out, a little bit of that cedariness. And then we got back to acidity. So, I mean, I can't say it's very good. I mean, I'm going to have to say it's 7.5. I'll say the body is still solid at 8. I mean, the draw has been very good overall. There's been moments of heat coming through, but overall, that's been very good. So have you guys been watching much shows? I've been catching up on some of the episodes of The Blacklist. We're running almost to the end. So The Blacklist evidently is going to end this month. I think right now we're waiting for episode 20 to drop. I think there's 2 more weeks. So 22 episodes, I think it's going to be. You know, this is the 10th season and the final season. So if you've been watching, Raymond Reddington has been kind of giving away everything. You know, he's been giving away all his possessions. He's been essentially divesting himself of all of his network and everything. So it's kind of like leading up to some kind of ultimate demise of Red Reddington. And Mad Mofo says, we from winter, we went straight to hell. Yeah, gosh, it is really. When I returned from my trip to Asia, it was like in the 70s. So pretty cool. So I was really pretty shocked at how cold it was comparatively. Like in Asia, it was like this and worse. And then to come back, I was like, oh man, that's good. Maybe I'll have a couple weeks of like cool weather, be enjoyable, but it went straight up and crashed out. And now we're burning up. Like we said earlier today, alerted the broadcast, the report today was that today was the hottest day on planet Earth, maybe in 125,000 years, at 62.9 degrees average temperature worldwide. Global warming? Still not happening? Who knows? How are you doing tonight, Mad? I'm going to tap that out again. There's still a little bit of heat on the bite, which is a bit, disappointing for this cigar. Just sending a message out on messaging one of my old staff. See if I can get her to come back to the fold. Here's some news. Hollywood Reporter says that Ricky Martin and Joan Joseph is going to divorce. Oh my. They're decided to end their marriage with love and respect and dignity for their children. Oh. No matter what it is, love dies somehow. And I just started to watch the latest episode, episode 4 of season 2 from Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. That looks pretty good. I haven't finished the episode. I just started probably the first 5 minutes, and I was like, then I got interrupted with some stuff. But I think that's going to be an interesting. I think it'll be a good season. And I was looking up there's a new series called Secret Invasion from Marvel. I've been reading that's not been doing too well. People have not responded well to that. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that, but I'd be interested to know what you think. Yeah, see, there's a little bit of heat on my lips that's biting when I'm doing the puff. This is the puff. There's just something not quite well with this particular example. And as you know, there's been a lot of cancellations over this summer about airlines and having trouble. United had their big meltdown last 2 weeks. There's a new headline here today. It says that if you're flying United Airlines, if you're flying American Airlines, that's probably been a good thing for you, because evidently new American Airlines technology had prevented 1,000 flights from canceling. Huh. Nice. That way, if you're flying American, you don't have to worry about getting canceled. You can still get to your destination. Another thing I saw earlier this week was the headline or a story about Disney World. Evidently, like Disney World, of course, is really busy during the summertime, extremely busy during the July 4th holiday. But evidently this week on July 4th, it was relatively empty. They were saying that some of the lines were down to 20-minute waits rather than multiple hours. I'm kind of wondering, like, what's causing that? Some people are saying, of course, that because of the row that Disney is having with DeSantis, that a lot of Trumpers are not going to Disney, which probably is a good thing. But also that it's also expensive. Like, it's super expensive to go to Disney. Like, maybe that's starting to play on people. Like, it's like, it's just not worth that kind of money to go to Disney. And hopefully that'll force Disney to like rethink their pricing strategies. Oh, man. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on out there in the world. So it looks like I'm going to be headed down to Ecuador, to Quito, at the end of August. I'm just talking to their organization there. They want me to come and oversee their Barista and Brewers Cup championships, which I'm happy to do. It'll be my first time to go to Ecuador. I'm kind of excited to go check it out. And, that should be interesting. So we'll probably be doing at least one. Will I be there long enough to do a live stream? Yeah, I should be there a whole week. So we'll be doing one of our episodes from Quito, Ecuador. So that should be kind of interesting. I'll let you know as we go along. We're just at the very beginning of that discussion. So, and then looks like they were talking about having me come to Peru in November. So those are the two trips that are coming up. Yeah, I'm just not enjoying this like I was expecting I would. And evidently, they've replaced Mayim Bialik as the host on Jeopardy. I think Jeopardy is an interesting show. They evidently, from what I've learned, they'll get together and they'll shoot 30 episodes at a time, and they shoot them in bulk. And then, of course, the competitors are sworn to secrecy on the outcomes. And so so they'll do over half the year at one time. And I think that's just interesting to see how they do that. Well, yesterday, I went out to the theater yesterday, and I went to go see the new Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny. And it's 2 hours, 34 minutes. So it's a pretty long running show. And I don't know. I mean, like, I always liked the Indiana Jones series, well, except for the last one, number 4, which was just utterly ridiculous. Actually, I saw it once, and I've never seen it again. And but I decided I wanted to go check it out. My brother went to go see it the other day on Sunday, and so I thought, let me go check it out. So I went out there yesterday, caught the 12 o'clock showing, and here's interesting. Like, I go to the Cinemark that's here, but I imagine that most every theater is like this. So if you go to the theater early, they have these, whatever previews or whatever shows, at least a half an hour's worth, maybe 40 minutes, and then that's showtime, 12 o'clock. There's a good 20 minutes of previews. So I was kind of like, okay, I decided to go like maybe around 11:30. I was like, I'll take my time. Went out there, grabbed some burgers at Burger King, and then, brought them with me. Got to the theater around 12 or so. Went in, sat down, 12, course, 12:24. That's when the movie starts. So, that's the one thing about these theaters. You don't really have to go there early. But it's just like the what is it? The previews are long, and the movie itself was very old school in the vein of like the original Indiana Joneses, right? The first 3. There's a lot of action and chases, and they did, evidently I read an article earlier before that said Harrison Ford was okay with because it goes back in time at some point, and you see a young Harrison Ford. That's, more of the early Indiana Jones era. And of course, they're CGIing it. They're, they're making a youthful face on him. And there's one point where he's running on top of this train, and you just look at the way he runs. And like, after you've seen a lot of Indiana Jones and you've seen a lot of other Harrison Ford movies, much like Tom Cruise, Harrison has a particular gait when he's running. And they got that total. Like, that was the thing that stuck out to me the most when they had this scene of it pulling out and they're running. It's like, man, that does not look like Harrison running. It's like, I don't know. And Steven says, I wonder what the prices are for Disney for the local Floridians in regards to year-round passes. Well, we can look that up. Let's look that up. Annual pass options. If you are existing annual pass holder, upgrade your pass fees as upgrade passes. Allow you the magic all year long. The Incredipass, 3 and over, $1,400. admission to one or more Disney World Resort theme parks during the year with advance reservation. That's the thing that they started this year. After the pandemic, they started doing reservations. Like, you cannot enter the park unless you have a reservation. Even if you have a pass, even if you have a ticket, you have to reserve. This pass can hold up to 5 reservations at a time on a rolling basis. No blockout dates, standard theme park parking, save on site dining, 20% off merchandise. I mean, that's $1,300. That's a lot of money. You've really got to be a fan of Disney to spend that kind of money. Let's see how much they're. Let's go Magic Kingdom. Where's their prices? Not So Scary Halloween Party. So about $150, $139. So that's kind of pricey for a one-day pass. And I don't think you can switch. I don't believe you can switch parks between on those days. Or maybe you can. I don't know. I must say the last time I went to Disney was in 2019. And, while Disney has whatever about it, I must say that they have a system now where you get these wristbands, right? These little RFID wristbands. And if you have enough time, like if you've reserved and made your plans well enough in advance, and you're staying at a Disney resort on the property, they'll send you the wristbands early enough so before you leave, they'll send you a bunch of baggage tags. And I got to say, they really make it pretty seamless. If you go the whole kit and caboodle, like you get your bag tags, you put them in your bags, you check in for your flight, you fly to Florida, you arrive. From that point on, you no longer have to worry about your bags. Your bags will automatically be picked up at baggage claim, transported to the resort, brought to your room and placed inside your room. And if you've done everything set up the way that they want you to do it, you no longer have to check in. You've already checked in. You take your wristband and you wrist it at the door of your room, and it opens the door. And you go in and your bags are there and everything's great. And they transport you to the property. So it's really holistic and seamless. And that wristband now is your pass to get into the parks because you've got reservations, you paid for your tickets. You can charge on, you put your credit card with it, so now you can charge galore. You can buy your $20 specialty drink, your Coca-Cola in a whatever thing, and you buy food. And even if you go to the Disney Springs, that whole like retail area that's open to the public, you go there to any of the stores and you can scan your wristband and like buy anything. Like even to the point of like before when Sosa Cigars still had a shop in Disney Springs, you could go to Sosa and use your wristband to buy. I did that. I used my wristband to buy cigars. So that was, I got to. And then when you leave, I think they transport your bags back to the plane, and then you fly home, and they transport you back to the airport. So in many respects, it's really quite a nice setup. It's really set up for you to spend as much money as possible with as little resistance as possible. So I got to say, that's really a nice touch. There's a little bit heaviness now with the smoke. I think probably because it's getting closer to the end. And then again, there's always that proximity of the burnt end to my nose and interfering with my ability to inhale without sucking in smoke. Tap that out a little bit. So we're here, almost to the end. Ooh, it's still kind of warm in here, gotta say. The heat is fierce. Ooh. I don't know what you guys think. So, deciding this week to revisit this 1964 anniversary, after it really just started off because of last week's tasting of the Meerapfel Meir. And I thought, let's go back and try this particular cigar, the 1964 anniversary, because it's a classic. It's a well-regarded, amazing reputation. So let's see how it does. And I was thinking about this. What would you guys like to see? What do you think would be another good cigar to go for? One of these things are like one of these older school cigars, well regarded, well established. Maybe we should start reviewing some of those as well on the lineup. So if you have any ideas, let me know what you think about what cigar we should also include in these reviews. Over the past couple of years, I've really tried to steer towards new release cigars that are just coming out of the market or relatively new to the market. But now maybe we should also consider like including some of these older ones, right? So let me know if you have any ones that, in particular that you think we should try. Brian says even Padron can roll a pour smoke. It's just unlikely, less likely. I agreed. Sadly, I think I got one of the unlikely ones. It's certainly not as bad as the Damaso I had several years ago, but not as good as some of the best ones that I've had. Like, I mean, this particular one, if I compare it to the 3000s, 5000s I've had, they were always very nice cigars and at a much nicer price point. But I mean, like, we can go look at some of the old Fuentes. Is there a Fuente that you think that we should look at, or any of the other brands? I'm trying to think now, maybe what else we should look at. Fuente and there's Rusty. What's going on? The past few days have been horrible driving around with Ace. Oh man, no, that's brutal. That's brutal. So which reminds me, when I was in the Philippines, one of my friends, her and I would go hang out a bit. She has a truck, a big old Pajero, but she has no AC either. Oh my gosh, man, that was brutal. So I totally understand, man. And when I lived in Hawaii back in way many years ago, I had a Carnegie convertible. No AC in that one either. So on the hot, really humid days in Hawaii, man, that was tough. That was always tough. So I totally feel you there. I totally feel you. So is it just that your Freon is out? You just need more Freon? Yeah, man, it's rough without AC. Rough. Like even when I got in the truck today, like I've got one of these older trucks, not 2014, so it's got manual control. So it's got the fan setting is 4 speeds, right? Normally, the first 2 clicks is good. Today, first 2 clicks, man, was just not keeping up. I still got to crank it up and let that AC fly. All right, we're coming to the end. I think 1 or 2 more puffs and we're going to be done. I had a convertible Fiat Spider in Phoenix. If you weren't moving, man, it's been so long since I've had a convertible. I love the convertibles, man. I remember in Hawaii, I used to have that convertible with smoke cigars, and I remember it used to create these really interesting burn patterns in the cigar. Really uneven sometimes. Yeah, AC is rough, man. No AC is rough. All right, that's pretty much it. I'm going to put that down. Unfortunately, the cigar did not really develop any like smoothness or, complexity during the last third. So I'm going to say it was still 7.5, good plus. Body has remained the same. That's been very consistent. The body's been consistent. Burn and draw were very good. So I'm going to say those were 9. Excellent. They really burned well. No aberrations. Very little aberrations. Maybe just a little bit. Consistency. I'm going to say 7.75 with the consistency. Overall, 7.75. Let's do some calculations on that now. Fragrance, 7.5. Flavor of the first third was 7.75. Body was 8. 7.5 for the flavor on the last 2 thirds. We'll say 9 for the burn and draw. 7.75 for the consistency. 7.75. Oh, that's wrong. Now, what's wrong with me here? Do this again. 7.5. 7.75. 8. Ah, there we go. There's our score. All right, so here's our results overall. And it comes up with 78.75. The AC has more holes than Swiss cheese. Oh, gosh. That sucks. 255 air conditioning, 2 windows down. Gosh, man, that's terrible. I'm sorry to hear that. Time for a new car, I guess. In Arizona, you stay home without AC in your car or drive faster. Absolutely. My goodness. That's craziness. All right, let's look at it here. We got 78.75, 78.75, which unfortunately doesn't give us as great as scores we would have hoped. It's tied, or it's a little bit ahead of the Caldwell Lost and Found Pepper Cream Soda 10th anniversary. And it's the 18th overall cigar for the year. A disappointing performance for the 1964 anniversary. We're still at the Meerapfel Meir for the 93.5. Tatuaje Lomo de Cerdo is 89. 88.5 for the Dublin Lancero. Number 4 cigar was 87.5 for the La Palina. And then the H Private Reserve Robusto from Isabella was at 87. So that's our lineup so far for the year. I'm not sure we're going to go for next week. Let me know what you think about any cigars you'd like to see that you think are worthy for this palace. All right. Well, now that our cigar's done, and it's pretty darn hot, I think we're going to sign off right now a little bit early than normal, but back again next week, 8 p.m. Thursday, as always. The Camel Step has been very nice, fruity, good drink. Held up relatively well. I did add some ice throughout the time. But all right, I guess that's good for now. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, great to have you. Great to see you. We're going to be here next Thursday, 8 p.m. with another cigar to try. Hopefully we'll get something really, really fantastic. But, yeah. Don't drive any vehicle with 1234 YF. Is that a... What is the 1234 YF? Let us know there, Stephen. What is that? I'll wait a couple moments for you to respond to that. Because I am curious. Thank you, Brian. Pretty good to say. Good to see you. Mom, always good. Mad Dog, always good to see. Rusty and Stephen, always fantastic. I'm gonna probably sit here for a few more minutes just with the fan off and the AC to cool back down, so I can be a little bit comfortable. All right, we'll let that roll on. Again, thank you very much for tuning in. Hope this week will be a great one for you. Enjoy yourselves out there, and see you next time.